All right, so we've implemented the capability of inserting payments into our database. Now let's go ahead and implement the actual service that deals with the request coming from the client, right? And then how we're going to deal with that request and then interact with Stripe. So go back to IntelliJ, and right here, let's go ahead and create a new class. So this will be called payment and then request. There we go. So inside of this payment request, we will simply have the private and then final and then payment, right? So we'll simply have a payment coming from the client, and then add that to constructor, and let's simply say that this will be at JSON and then property, and this will be payment. So this will be the payment object. Now generate the getter. There we go. And you can also generate toString. And then okay. Now let's go ahead and create a payment service. So payment and then service, right? So annotate this with add and then service, so that Spring initializes this as a bean. And right here, let's go ahead and simply say void and then charge and then card, right? So right here, we will simply receive a payment request. So this will be the payment request, but also we will receive a UID, and this will be the actual customer and then UID, or actually ID, right? So this is the customer ID for this payment request, right? And there we go. So now let's actually think about things that we actually need for this payment service, right? So we know that we need to check whether this customer exists. So let's go ahead and simply say private final and then customer and then repository. So we need that repository, right? And we also need the payment repository. So private final payment and then repository. There we go. And if we go to our diagram, so right here, so we need a way of us making the actual payment using Stripe, right? And then send an SMS as well, right? So we need to send an SMS. So for now, let's go ahead and simply have these two repositories, right? So let's have these two being injected, or actually auto-wired, but it's the same thing. So right here, add and then auto-wired. There we go, right? So what we're going to do next is actually think how we're going to auto-wire the logic that will perform the payment into our service, and the same for the Twilio, right? So we want to be able to send SMSs, right? So how are we going to be able to pass it inside of this class, even though we have no implementation yet? Join me in the next video. See ya.